Wow. Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. Um, I want to try to be as brief and concise as I can with this morning. I want to leave you with something hard hitting that you can wrap your head around and hold on to. So I'm going to attempt to limit this to 30 minutes or less. You know how I get when I get going. I follow the flow of the energy and I let what's inside come out. That's just how I work. I believe when the energy is telling me that there's something inside that someone can have, I speak. Um, but what I want to do is talk to you about the power of expanded beliefs. What I can tell you is if you follow me for any time, you're aware of the fact that I'm very, very huge on the capacity to manage your thoughts. Now, in developing the capacity to manage your thoughts, good morning, Eki. Uh, in the process of learning and developing the capacity to manage your thoughts, you are going to have to pull together a lot of different components. There are a lot of things that work to help you manage your capacity. It has been hectic this morning, so just please forgive me for any background noise. No telling what's about to pop off right now. It's one of those mornings. It is what it is. But look, um, I'm huge about managing your thoughts because your thoughts are truly the seeds of your destiny. When you learn to manage your thoughts, it's actually a reflection of a greater capacity. It's a greater capacity that first and foremost speaks to where you are in state consistently, where you tend to live. What I've learned is people live in different states. You have people who are angry all the time, people who tend to be sad or depressed all the time, people who tend to be hyperactive and optimistic all the time. You have people who float between all of those different realities, people who tend to live in a state of anxiety and fear all the time. You have these people. And what I can tell you is that no matter what situation you put a person who has determined and decided that they are going to be angry, no matter what situation you put them in, they will find a reason to get angry. It's actually that they've identified with being angry. They've identified with being angry and they don't realize or understand why. Their anger is their protective mechanism. They believe when they're angry that they have this ability to fend off those who don't mean them well, fend off those who may intend to exploit them, misuse them, harm them, or hurt them. They feel like they're bigger, they're stronger when they're angry. They don't understand all of the negative energy it takes to create that constant state of anger and hostility and the negative impact it has on their physiological health, not to mention their mental health. They just believe where they're at is where they're safest. And you can go on down the line and you can find that with all these negative states or these negative emotions in which people decide they're going to reside in and go to great lengths to find a reason to be there. A person who is living in a state of fear will find every freaking thing on the planet to be afraid of. It's just simply where they've trained themselves mentally to be. It's that place that if it ain't something wrong, they'll find something wrong. It's got to be something wrong because I'm supposed to be afraid. If I'm not afraid, I got to find out because I'm missing it. It's there somewhere. I'm going to find it because I can't let it get me. And it's all down the line. It's all of these things that we trace back to some point in life where something traumatic happened, or over the course of time, there was a complex, that was a situation where they were dealing with complex trauma, which is perpetual trauma, either the same type of trauma or different types of trauma, but just consistent traumatic experiences that will definitely throw you into a state of disequilibrium, psychologically, emotionally, and physically. Or it could just be a situation where one point in time they had an event or something that happened, and how they interpreted that event and what they did at that moment to survive or to get through that event set a state. And they live in that state because they never dealt with that issue. And if you don't deal with that issue, you can't expand your beliefs. Why? Because your thoughts are a reflection of your beliefs. and they also reinforce beliefs. It's cyclical in how it happens. So what you have to understand is there's something really, really powerful about your thoughts. But if you don't learn how to work with your thoughts, in working with my clients, I refer to it as a paradigm shift. Why? Because when I deal with a paradigm shift, I'm dealing with the whole view of how I see the world, how I see life impacting me, how I see my capacity to impact the world around me. My paradigms determine whether I am a victim, whether I am a warrior, whether I am a conqueror. It doesn't change it doesn't change the circumstances or the situations I operate in. My paradigm changes how I perceive it. Because let me explain something to you. The people who have achieved unbelievable and unimaginable success, despite what the vast majority of people believe, the vast majority of those people who is functioning from success, especially those that came from meager beginnings, didn't get some special hand up where they didn't have to go through what everybody else goes through. They didn't have to face the vicissitudes of life, the struggles, the heartaches, the disappointment, the delay, the opposition, all of the things that you face on a daily basis. They face it too. The difference is how they perceive that particular opposition. There's a term used often in psychology. It's become a cliche among everyday people, and it says that perception is reality. And so a lot of people like to argue against that, but it is truly real. We know scientifically through tests now that the mind is not able to distinguish between what is real and what's being imagined. So if you're imagining that something is happening, it becomes your reality. Why? Because your responses to it, because you believe it real, will be very real. If you see a person walking towards you and you perceive that they are going to do you harm and you have a weapon on you, and because your perception of what they're going to do, it has you in a state to protect yourself, and you shoot and harm or kill that person, you tell me that perception wasn't reality. That person is still dealing with the consequences of their family and everyone else of your perception. Perception is very much so reality. It produces real actions. So, and the mind sees it that way. So you can actually take your perceptions when you're able to control the way you perceive things, you're able to control the way you respond to them. If you perceive it as a threat and that you have no control, you will become a victim, and you will move with the pulls and the pushes of life, and you will always believe that that life is happening to you. But when you believe that no matter how bad the consequence, you have the power to not only endure the consequence, but to reach inside of it and literally change it, then you now are understanding and operating as a conqueror. And when you operate as a warrior, when you operate as a conqueror, when you operate as someone who knows that they have the control and the capacity to change things in their lives, you move from being victim to being victor, and you move from believing that the life is happening to you to understanding that life is responding to you, that the world around you is responding to you. And if you're a person of faith, if you belong to some faith system, then you believe that the world is responding to your faith. And so what we have to understand is you have to have the capacity to enjoy something greater, to enjoy something more lasting, to enjoy something that you can be proud of living in consistently, that provides you an environment that's conducive to a state of equilibrium psychologically, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Then you've got to find that place where you can operate consistently. And for that to happen, you've got to have the capacity to expand your beliefs. The power of expanded beliefs means that I'm consistently training myself that what I used to believe was impossible is now possible. Now, I call that faith in motion. It's not static. It's not sitting still. It's not waiting on something to do something for it. It's determining within itself that it has the capacity to grow itself. So what it does is it understands. Wait, let me see. Let me see how the dynamic works. The dynamic says that if I believe in myself, then I will apply massive action to the thing that I believe I have the capacity to do. In other words, we can tell by studying all the people who have been successful in life and drawing whatever kind of chart or whatever you want to draw. There's going to be some components that are present in every successful person's life. The first one is massive effort, massive action. You got to have massive effort and massive action. Why? Because it's the effort you put into something that influences the results you get. There are people who have the uncanny ability to sit up and actually go out and apply massive action to things they haven't even figured out yet. They figure, I'm going to invest in myself. And I told you, I'm one of those people when I see something and it says you can't do it, I don't start to try to figure out how. I go into it saying, this is what I want, I'm going to do it. I meet the resistance inside of the storm. Now that I'm in the storm, I have no option but to stand up and fight my way through it. I'm not going back because I've trained myself, no surrender, no retreat. So I'm going forward. But if I sit back long enough trying to evaluate why and how and what I need and do I have it, I'm going to talk myself out of it, because fear and uncertainty are going to set in, and fear feeds on itself. And you got to learn that you can either feed fear or you can feed faith. You're going to be feeding yourself. You guard yourself against doubt. How? You don't listen to naysayers. You don't go asking yourself the wrong question. This is what I can tell you. Your mind and your brain is a servo mechanism. What does that mean? It provides for you the things you demand of it. Now, the thing is, you got to learn, in what ways do I demand it? Well, simply entertaining a thought consistently will be a great way to tell your brain that it's important to you. Now, here's the problem. The brain doesn't work. The brain works on neutrality, not positive or negative. What does that mean? If you're focusing on poverty, you could be focusing on, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to experience lack. But that's all you're thinking is lack. Your brain doesn't determine that you don't want it or that you do want it. It just simply says, well, you show focusing a lot on lack. Let me find out how we can deal with that. And he goes and finds everything that will promote lack in your life. It's an automatic. So if you ask yourself, why can't I ever win? Your brain is going to go find everything. Matter of fact, it's going to use the reticular activating system, which is a neurological and a physical part of the brain. It sits right above the spinal cord at the edge of the brainstem, and it sits there and it filters out the things that you're not interested in. It takes out all of the information that's being processed. It filters it out. So not only will your brain go and find exactly why you can't succeed, why you're failing, it will filter out all of the proof that's coming by at the same time that says you can't. You won't see that. Or if you see it, you will dismiss it. Why? Because it doesn't line up with all of the beliefs that you have lined up that says you can't. And until you change the belief, until you change the paradigm, you're going to keep reaching for the wrong thing. You're going to keep asking yourself. I've been there. I think I shared this with you. I went through thankfully it wasn't a long period of life, but I went through a period of life where one event that I went through set a tone in my life that I didn't pick up on, and I kept asking myself, why can't I win for losing? Or I kept saying I can't win for losing. And my brain took it. And eventually I said it enough that my brain said, okay, this is what he believes. Let's find a way to lose. So then I started being apprehensive about decision making. Let me explain something to you about decision making. Make the decision. All of the little elements and components are never going to line up perfectly. It's never going to be a perfect opportunity. There's never going to be a perfect situation. There's never going to be a perfect time. You sit up and say, if this is what I want, you make the decision that I'm going to have it. Figure out the how and the why after you make the decision. Step into the fight. Get into the ring. And once you commit to it, you will find that the universe responds to the commitment. It's an act of faith. It's an act of saying, I'm investing. I tell you what, the easiest way to put it is, the universe is waiting to invest in you, but it will never invest in anyone who doesn't have skin in the game. If you haven't invested yourself and put some skin in the game, the universe is not going to bring to you what you want without you having invested in yourself. And the way you invest in yourself is you take the risk. You step out there and you go after what you want to go, not because you got it all figured out, but because you know it's possible. When you get to that level of certainty, you feed that moment with your belief says, I am going to invest massive action, massive energy, massive effort into making this happen. And guess what happens? you produce massive results. You produce positive results. You get great results. Guess what that does? Reinforce the belief that it was possible that you started with. Now, because you got the now because you're reinforcing an initial belief that's positive, you grow and expand the belief. You now say, man, if I did that, I bet you I can do this. And so now you go out and say, I'm going to go get it, and you go after it, you go do it, and you get results. You come back, those results reinforce, man, if I just sit up and expand my mind and what I think and what I believe is possible, I produce it each and every time. So now you're starting to create this powerful momentum where you're driving yourself upward. And I'm not just talking about in money. People get so caught up in money that they lose the entire world around them. You should be fighting to be the best you can be in your relationships, your marriages, parents. You should be the best you can be in coming in contact with other people who need you to pour into their lives. You should be the best you can be at filling your space in life, in business, in social work, in anything that you put your hands on. You should want to have a standard of a level of excellence that demands your very best. And your best should always be something today that it was better than what it was yesterday. You should always be growing, intentionally growing, looking at, examining yourself, being honest with yourself, taking that introspective examination of who you are and looking at yourself inside and saying, you know what? I'm not where I was yesterday. So I've got to pat myself on the back that I've grown, but I'm definitely not where I should be. And I could have did this better yesterday. I could have did this. I let myself down. Now, you don't kick yourself, but you're honest with yourself. Why? Because you don't go back and grab those things you left behind and bring them into the new day, and you're going to handle it. You're going to take care of it. You're going to make sure that you're growing. You're going to make sure that you're developing. You're going to make sure that you're open to change. Because, see, growth is a process of change. And most people don't like change. It's people that are literally out there that are happy and satisfied in being inside the circle of mediocrity because they know it. They know what to expect. If I get up and I go to work every morning, I clock in and I do what these people ask me to do, they're going to have me a check on Friday. They're not going to do too much to upset me. I don't like it. I got these stomach aches. I got these constant headaches. My health is failing. I can't explain it. Explain what you're doing. You're committing spiritual suicide. What you're doing is you don't realize why you're physically bothered because you're going to a job you're not really passionate about. There's no passion or love. You're getting no fulfillment about it. The only thing you're getting out of it is money because you put this big old tag on money as being important and not understanding it's simply a means to an end. And a lot of times you can obtain the end without that particular means. It's when you begin to properly context money that it becomes more accessible to you because you lose the anxiety about it. Now you think clearly. It's about really truly getting control of your life, mastering the components of success, understanding what other people who have gone where you are trying to go did, and understand those things that are law-abiding attributes of their success. In other words, not their particular personality, not this and that, but those things that you can find that are synonymous with every successful person. Number one, they believe in themselves. And they don't look for external validation a lot. They know who they are. They step out there and they make up in their mind. They very rarely talk about what they can't do. They look at something as a challenge and not a problem. They got just different ways of looking at things. To the wealthy, money is a means. It's an instrument. It's a tool. It's meant to do things. It must work for me. I can't work for it. And on and on and on. And when you begin to mimic the masters, you begin to get the results that the masters get. And then when you look up, you've become a master of your own life in time. It's that process. Here's the thing that I find most challenging with people who are attempting to expand their beliefs and put their faith in motion. Most people who are a part of a faith-based system tend to see their relationship with the divine creator in a mystical and magical way. So when they pray, when they ask, when they seek, they're looking for a miracle. They're looking for magic to happen. But what I can tell you is in my own experiences and those that I've worked with, studied, or who worked with me and trained me, is that most of the huge walls that you build that are walls of success are not built in a moment. They're built brick by brick. They're built step by step. They're built ounce by ounce. They're not magically appearing. There's no miracle process to success. For every miracle that you can speak of in life, there are a million people who made it without the miracle. See, what happens is when you talk about true expanded beliefs and the energy it creates and how it puts faith in motion, what you're dealing with now is not waiting on something mystical to happen. You're not waiting on something magical to happen. You're not waiting on one huge thing. You set to order the things underneath the surface that you can't even see happening, moving on your behalf to create things. It's the micro progressions, the micro activity that end up pushing you towards something. It's the ability to have patience and steadfastness to push on when you can't see the result standing in front of you that gets you to where you're trying to go. When you sit up and keep waiting on the miracle, you're wasting time, energy, and you're frustrating yourself. A lot of you are sitting out there now saying that poverty is my lot in life, suffering is my lot in life, and being mistreated and abused in relationships is my lot in life. You need to change your thinking. It's not your lot in life. You were never created to suffer. You were never created to be mistreated. You were never created to be mediocre. You were never created to just sit here and exist. You were created to be an influence, an impact, a power. But you've got to set in your mind that it's possible, and you've got to stop operating on logic and move into that area of belief that moves in the motion of faith, and it makes things underneath the surface begin to move. Learn to appreciate the micro progressions in life, because though they move slow, they move constantly and steadily. Stop waiting on the miracle. Become the miracle. Now, what you will find is the more that you expand your beliefs, the more that you tear down the walls of limiting beliefs, the more that you sit up and you decide, I'm no longer going to be mediocre, and I'm no longer going to allow life to beat up on me. I now know that life is not happening to me. Life is responding to me. And I am going to change the environment around me, because I'm going to change the energy I emit through the beliefs that I have. I'm raising my frequency. I'm raising my vibration, because I know that the frequency that I emit can only attract other energy with the same frequency. So if I'm thinking negative, I will attract negative. If I'm thinking pain, I will attract pain. If I'm thinking fear and anxiety, if I'm producing that energy, I can only attract that which it resonates with. It resonates with like interest. You've got to connect frequencies to get things. And if you are not operating on the frequency of the thing you want, you will never have it. And when the great creator, the almighty God, created this universe, he said it in such specificity and such order that you can literally know a frequency and find what you want when you are able to connect and create that frequency with consistency. You're pulling energy. Energy moves energy, and everything on this planet, absolutely everything, is energy. Everything in this universe is energy. It's all moved by faith. Your belief systems, your thoughts. Your thoughts are not simply affecting how you feel about each other. I mean, how you feel about yourself and others. It does that. It does. Your thoughts will impact how you feel about yourself. They're either going to reinforce an existing belief, or they're going to start to tear down an existing belief and replace it with another one. But it's also at the same time emitting an energy equal to its own frequency. And that energy is going to go out and find like energy to connect with. And no matter how far it has to travel, it will find that energy. You are in a situation where you have far more control over your life, over your destiny, over your future than you believe. The only one that can stop your destiny is you. That's by abandoning it. Abandoning it. You have the power and the control to do anything you want to in life, but you must believe it. With that being said, I'm going to check out of here. I absolutely love you guys. You can look in the post box and you'll find the link to the book Critical Mass, the comprehensive guide to living life at the level of your design. Pre-order that book now, get it at a discount price, and get the ebook for free. I love you guys. I'm out of here, and peace.